Yolande was saying there as she ended her report, the suffering from Gaza has never been greater. I'm not sure how easy it has been for you to be able to contact your friends and family in Gaza at the moment, but if you have been able to, what have they been saying to you?
The situation is horrendous in Gaza. I'm British Palestinian. I couldn't reach my family for the past few days due to lack of electricity and the disruption of the internet services. The last time I spoke to them was 4 days ago. They said that each day we are alive is a miracle. This is the worst onslaught or a war on Gaza for the past decades. I personally, as a journalist, I covered the first Israeli war on Gaza 2008 and the second 2012. And I can tell you that it is undescribable. The situation is miserable. People there are trapped in the world's largest open-air prison. They are unable to leave, and they say there is no safe place on Gaza. Now, it's ironic what they are telling me, that they are dismayed by the apathy of the international community for not intervening to pressure Israel to end its airstrikes and tank shelling on Gaza. They are telling me that it's hypocrisy and international double standards policy that Israel is allowed to defend itself, and Palestinians are left alone to face their fate without their basic needs and supplies. It's a very difficult situation. A humanitarian situation is unfolding, and some hospitals, they stopped operating. The number of casualties is really high, and there is lack of medicines. People cannot afford to buy their basic supplies, and they find it like hell to live in that part of the world. Some leaflets are being dropped from time and then, asking people to evacuate to the south, but they are telling me there is no safe place in Gaza. Hospitals were attacked, mosques, universities, markets, bakeries, everything is being bombarded day and night. For the past nearly 3 weeks, they couldn't sleep. Now, as somebody from Gaza, I can tell you that Israel's disproportionate force and excessive force does not spare anybody. Even paramedics come under attack, journalists come under attack. I lost many colleagues and many relatives so far.
I'm sorry to hear of your personal losses, Yusuf. You say you know Gaza quite well. Obviously, we're hearing from the authorities a call for people to move from northern to southern Gaza. We've been showing pictures of some of the strikes across Gaza. When you look at those pictures, how do you feel? You probably know some of these areas that have been struck.
Of course. Gaza is very piece of land. It's only 40 kilometers long, 10 kilometers wide. I know each street in Gaza. It's horrendous that there is no safe place. There are no safe bunkers, no safe shelters. Even those who shelter in United Nations schools were targeted. Even those who are in makeshift tents, they say they are not safe. I see the videos coming from Gaza. It's really heartbreaking. How on earth this can be happening? I mean, Palestinians are human beings. But we have been dealt by the West as subhumans. We are being demonized. Palestinians have been suffering for the past 75 years. What happened on the 7th of October? The people there on the ground, they say this is a natural reaction to Israel's prolonged military occupation, colonization, dispossession, forcing people to leave Gaza, making their life miserable. The poverty, unemployment rate has been already very high. The siege was imposed on Gaza in 2007. I mean, people live in a very desperate situation. The suffering has become a daily part of people's lives. So, I mean, I can tell you that if I go there, I'm going to see a different Gaza from the one that I saw last month. I was in Gaza last month to visit Gaza with my family for the first time in 10 years. I mean, honestly, people of Gaza, they need, a space. They need a break. Honestly, they've been suffering endlessly. If a child is 16 years old, this means this child experienced 5 wars in their age time.
OK, and Yusuf, of course, what happened on the 7th is distressing for the families of people who are being held hostage. We've seen 4 hostages that have now been released. I presume, as a journalist from that area, you've also covered Hamas. What do you make of the fact that they've released 4 hostages so far?
I think Hamas is interested to reach a settlement, a peaceful settlement or a ceasefire. So by releasing those hostages, they wanted to assure the U.S. administration and Israel that they are willing to negotiate for a prisoner swap deal.
But it's only 4 so far, isn't it, Yusuf?
Yes, obviously, this is a goodwill gesture, as they say. It is Israel who is refusing to communicate with Hamas through mediators. So I think if both sides agree to release more hostages, they need assurances from Israel that it must stop its attacks first.
And let's talk about the Rafah crossing. You probably know that area fairly well, since you know Gaza very well, as you say. Some aid has crossed through. It's clearly not enough. If you listen to what UN and other aid agencies are saying, what do you think is the biggest priority that needs to get through? I mean, we're talking water, we're talking fuel, we're talking food. I mean, how dire is that situation?
The situation is going from bad to worse. The Rafah border recrossing is Gaza's only access point to the outside wall. 2.3 million, they rely on that Egyptian-controlled crossing. And the aid convoy that was allowed to enter into Gaza only constitutes 2% according to the local authorities. The needs, the most important aid that people in Gaza or the authorities they ask for is a fuel. The shipments that was delivered is a trickle, and they say we are not begging for those handouts. We need the basic things: the fuel, medicine. We need medical supplies, because the hospitals are really suffering under the collective punishment that Israel has imposed recently, on top of the already imposed siege. So before the Israeli war in Gaza, the recent one, approximately 600 trucks were allowed to enter Gaza. But nowadays, only 60 trucks will not resolve the issue. And people, they say, we are trapped in this, they call it a concentration camp or a big prison. So even those with the dual citizenships, even those with the British nationality, they are trapped there, unable to leave.
OK, well, Yusuf Al-Halou, a Palestinian freelance journalist and documentary maker from Gaza, thank you very much for sharing your perspective on this developing story.